if you were actually taking steroids, would be YK11. YK11 for somebody who's on the steroid cycle is gonna allow you to build way more muscle. So YK11 in that context, okay, decent. But all the other ones, Follistat 344, all the other, they just didn't live up to their hype.
It was relevant. People so can you thank you very much? That's it. She's a mantis.
You think you're so smart, don't you?
Yeah, because I'm a garden gnome. That's it. She's a mantis.
What do you want to tell the Democrats? I'm going to help you, King Darius. I'm running for office for you. I'm going to get you a single room occupancy.
Hey, miss. Do you want some food?
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, how many?
For him?
Yeah. Think of.
So my question, Mr. Trump, did you join the Mile High with Ray and a mantis the other day? Hit yourself first.
Hey, miss.
Stop together. Oh, that's not good.
Somebody answer my question.
I've never actually. Answer my question, Mr. Trump.
That's it. She's a mantis.
Before we get any further, I keep hearing about aliens. What's going on with
Speaking
that?
of aliens, you're probably an alien since there isn't a nasty than you in this. You're tremendous. More than trophies, more than flex. It's quiet courage in your chest. Doing daily what you do the best. Your heart's the one you impress. That's the secret wisdom of success. Oh, people can see it. And we're trying to get this out today. So on Tuesday, they're trying to get it out by Friday. All right? Okay. Set hooks on the top shelf, hidden in the cold of the stock bell. Chased every trick. Then my granddad laughed, said, "Boy, you keep asking what, not who you've been. Secret wisdom, showing up when you feel small, making promises, then giving all, standing steady in the mess. Secret wisdom of success." I learned to shake hands, look them straight on, say I don't know yet, but still stay strong. Eternally not lost to a lesson kept. Count my blessings more than the money I get. 'Cause every heavy door needs 1,000 knocks. And every overnight took a lifetime's call. Secret wisdom of success is the work that no one checks. It's saying sorry when you're wrong, calling home before you stroll along. It's living harder when there's less. That's the secret wisdom of success. It's the early rise, the tide, helping friends before you rise. Keeping faith when plans fall through, not quitting on the truth. Secret wisdom of success, more than trophies, more than flex. It's quiet courage in your chest. Doing daily what you do the best. When your heart's the one you impress. That's the secret wisdom of success. You said, know yourself, but I kept looking in other people's eyes. And the halos wearing their masks till my own reflection felt like a lie. Then path I choose, which ones I step on slowly. Shining through, every breath becomes a doorway to a better, truer truth. I perfect myself in kindness, not in polish, shining through. Learning how to love this lifetime as a practice, not a rule. Old stories fall like airs, new courage in the grave. I am not my fear, I am how I rise. Wisdom is a wildfire burning all the lies. I'm a mirror made of morning, breaking, waking, shining through. Learning how to live this lifetime as a practice, not a rule.
So growing because of alien invasions in 2024.
You said know yourself, but I kept looking in other people's eyes, chasing the halos, wearing their masks till my own reflection felt like a lie. Then silence grew loud in my chest.
There is my boy, Russell Hickok.
Are you really? I'm a mirror made of morning, waking, shining better, true, true. I perfect myself in kindness, not in polish, not in proof. Learning how to love this lifetime as a practice, not a rule.
Ooh. Yeah.
No water now. Each thought is a stone in the path. I choose which ones I step on slowly. I prepare myself in kindness, not in polish, not in proof. Breathe out. I am not my failures, I am how hath it for its head. Below are two prongs. They spear the wicked. I will spear thee, unless thou beware. From the gray to the gold, beyond the gold of Ophir. My God, but I love thee. Why hast thou whispered so ambiguous? Wayest thou afraid? O goat of one, O horned one, O pillar of lightning. From the light God, my God, O thou great hooded sun. Cut off these eyelids, nature shall mine eyelids with fear. She hideth one. Not Isis, my mother, nor Osiris, myself, but the incestuous Horus given over to Typhon. Fallen into death, oh my soul. Think that death is the bed into which you are falling. Oh, how I love thee. Oh my God. Especially is there a parallel light from infinity. Of this mind. The phoenix hath it for its head. Below are two prongs. They spear the wicked. I will spear thee, O thou Lord great God. Unless thou beware from the gray to the gold, from the gold to that which is beyond the gold of Ophir. My God, but I love thee. Why hast thou whispered so ambiguous things? Wayest thou afraid, O goat-hoofed one, O horned one, O pillar of lightning? From the lightning fall pearls, from the pearls black specks of nothing. Like they starred one, but I'm not. I float in the air. My God, my God. O thou great hooded Son of glory. Cut off these eyelids. Nature shall die out. She hideth me, closing mine eyelids with fear. She hideth me from my destruction. O thou open eye, O ever weeping one. Not Isis, my mother, nor Osiris, my son. The incestuous Horus given over to Typhon. So may I be their thought, and thought is it is enough. Fall not into death, O my soul. Think that death is the bed into which you are falling. Oh, how I love thee. Oh, my God. Especially is there a vehement parallel light from infinity, violently diffracted in the haze of this mind. With the spell of blood quench, thy blood thirst, oh my God, thou art a little white rabbit in the burrowing night. I am greater than the lightning chain and licked up. There is a tongue in the flame. I see the trident walking over the sea. A phoenix has it for its head. Beyond two prongs they see, and I will spear thee. O thou little God, understand me well. From the great to the poor, that which is beyond the cold of the sea. Am I like, but I love thee? Why have a little white rabbit in the burrow? I am greater than the first and the whole. Give me thy kisses, O Lord God. The lightning came and licked up the little flock of sheep. There is a tongue and a flame. I see the trident walking over the sea. A phoenix having for its head. Below are two prongs. They steer the wicked. I will steer thee, O thou little gray God, unless thou beware from the gray to the gold, from the gold that which is beyond the gold. Feel like death, I love thee. My peace thou whispers to in your spirit. I whisper
Feels good, man. Shut up.
My God, how I love thee. With the vehement appetite of a beast, I hunt thee through the universe. Thou art his hand. I'll keep him my promise.
The edge of some fortified city, I am a white bird, and perch upon thee. Thou art my lover, I see thee as a nymph with her white limbs stretched by the spring. She lies upon the moss, there is none other but she. Art thou not heaven? I am his sweet night, oh my God. Let the work be accomplished in silence. Let my cry of pain be crystallized into a little white fawn, to run away into the forest. Thou art a centaur, oh my God. From the violet blossoms that crown thee to the hoofs of the horse, thou art harder than tempered steel. There is no diamond beside thee. Did I not yield this body and soul? I woo thee with a dagger drawn across my throat. Let the spout of blood quench thy bloodthirst, O my God. My God, how I love thee. With the vehement appetite of a beast, I hunt thee through the universe. Thou art standing, as it were, upon a pinnacle at the edge of some fortified city. I am a white bird, and perch upon thee. Thou art my lover, I see thee as a nymph with her white limbs stretched by the spring. She lies upon the moss, there is none other but she. Art thou not Pan? I am he, speak not, oh my God, let the work be accomplished in silence. Let my cry of pain be crystallized into the forest. Thou art a centaur, oh my God, from the violet blossoms that crown you to the horse. Thou art harder than tempered steel. There is no diamond beside thee. Did I not yield this body and soul? I woo thee with a dagger drawn across my throat. Let the spout of blood quench that bloodthirst. Oh my God.
Into my loneliness comes the sound of a flute in dim groves that haunt the uttermost hills. Even from the brave river they reach to the edge of the wilderness. And I behold them, the snows are eternal above, and their perfumes flows upward into the nostrils of the stars. To me only the distant flute, the abiding vision of Pan on all sides can to the eye, to the ear. The perfume of Pan pervading, the taste of him utterly filling my mouth, so that the tongue breaks forth into a weird and monstrous speech. The embrace of him intense on every center of pain and pleasure. The six interior sands abyss, annihilation, an end to loneliness, as to into my loneliness comes the sound of a flute in dim groves that haunt the uttermost hills. Even from the brave river, they reach to the edge of the wilderness, and I behold Pan. The snows are eternal above, on all sides. Pan, to the eye, to the ear, the perfume of Pan pervading the speech, the embrace of him intense on every center of pain and pleasure, the sixth interior self of being into the abyss, annihilation, an end to loneliness, has to find your seat, feet on the ground, spine rising like a calm, tall wave. Let your hands rest heavy, jaws tongue soft, gaze easy behind closed eyes. Notice the noise in your chest, thoughts pacing, racing. You don't have to fix them, just let them pass by. Breathing through the nose, slowly sipping time. Hold that beat, feel the ribs draw out. Breathe out through the mouth, long like a quiet tide. Empty, empty, empty till the bottom feels kind. You are the storm and the stillness inside. Ride the breath, ride the breath. Now count with me. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let it go. Shoulders mountain downward. Heart of lantern in your chest. Right. Steady, simple. Guiding you back to center. Breathing through the nose, slow like you're sipping time. Hold that beat, feel the rhythm draw wide. Breathe out through the mouth, long like a quiet tide. Empty, empty, empty till the bottom feels kind. You are the storm and the stillness inside. Ride the breath. If exhale. What you can hold. Breathing through the nose, slow like you're sipping time. Hold that beat for feel the ribs draw wide. Breathe out through the mouth, long like a quiet tide. Empty until the bottle feels kind. You are the storm and the stillness inside. Ride the breath, ride the breath. One more inhale, gentle deep. One long exhale, ready on demand. Find your seat, feet on the ground, sweat rising like a calm wave. Let your hand rest heavy, jaw loose, tongue soft, gaze easy behind closed eyes. Notice the noise in your chest, thoughts pacing, racing. You don't have to fix them. Hold that beat for four. Feel the ribs draw wide. Breathe out through the mouth, long like a quiet tide. Empty, 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 till the bottom feels kind. You are the storm and the stillness inside. Ride the breath, ride the breath. Now count with me. 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, out, out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let it go, shoulders melting down, but heart a lantern in your chest. Bright, steady, simple, guiding you back to center. Breathe in through the nose. Slow like it's full. Feel the ribs draw wide. Breathe out through the mouth, long like a quiet tide. Empty, 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 till the bottom feels kind. You are the storm and the Baby, softly breathe again. And the fire out for the ashes. So like a second time. Hold that peak for full. Feel the ribs go wild. Breathe out through the moon like a quiet tide. Empty till the bottom feels clean. You are the soul and stillness inside. Gentle, deep, one long exhale. Feel the ground keep you when you are ready. Open your eyes, know this calm is yours on demand. Inhale slow, count the corners of the room. Tiny galaxy in your chest. Every thought just passing through. Breathe between walls, here and now. Unfolding, nothing to chase. Only this just holding. Breathe between worlds, empty.
Inhale slow.
I'm not used to seeing this kind of shit. And I don't want my country to. Sorry, no violence. Yeah. And the terror attacks that have been happening to our religious institutes across the country.
I mean, this new generation of children, I'm going to say going up to probably the last 15 years, I'm trying to gauge the age, only know to go into a temple with several armed guards, some dressed like SWAT in front with metal detectors. They don't know, they've never entered a religious institution any other way. I mean, it's just kind of strange to think about it that they just don't know what it's like to just be able to freely walk in the building. They've never done it.
You know what, Abby? I'm going to recommend another video if I will. It's the Dad Saves America YouTube channel, and the specific video says we don't know the meaning of this error for 50 years. He's interviewing Arthur Brooks, and one of the stats he he brings up, which people forget. I think it was the late 60s, 70s. There were over 700 domestic terrorist incidents in the United States. I think in a year, it might be for the error. I'd have to watch it again to remember. But even if it's over, 5 years, that's still a huge back from the hard left progressive stance. Sadly, I think we're not done with all of this left-wing political violence, which has outpaced right-wing political violence for the first time in a number of years. Yeah, it sucks that this is happening. It's going to have to live like this, but these periods of this kind of unrest is not unprecedented, not only in the United States, I think, but throughout the world. And it's something we got to go through. I think what's different now is, well, actually, I was going to say I think it's different because we have our era of social media. I mean, the visibility of these incidences is great. Television, the radio. So you were still getting news, and it could be just as impactful. So I don't know. And that's not to say, and I've said all of this, not to say that it makes anything better or makes it suck less, but just to say,
proactive about it, which is great.
I like her.
But the federal government did something. I forget when the grant program started. Started out, it was a couple $100 million, and the needs, across the country were pretty significant. What's the irony is that when they do the awards, states that don't have high statistics of crime and threats, those institutions, don't get the grants as readily as places where there's just a higher statistic on it. And it's a bit political. The different members and the senators jockey for position for their states. But I got to believe where you are, there's not a problem. Like, I would think that they'd probably get a pretty big allocation there.
Yeah, I think so too. between Detroit and Flint, in Grand Rapids, there's like a spike in crime. So hopefully it'll just be across all these regions. People are acting like psychos, and it's not just Americans either. I will say I've noticed, at least in the past couple weeks, there's some people that I'm kind of confused that our system has let slip through the cracks, as far as they're not originally from here, right? And guy who just shot up the university, I think it was in Pennsylvania,
Virginia,
high school student, Virginia. Yeah, so he actually became a citizen in 2016. I was looking into this, and he also committed another terror attack previously, like a year after he became a citizen. They let him out, I believe it was 2021, and now here he is again, committing another fucking terror attack. Why? I'm not sure what's going on there, but if we haven't cracked down on immigration, I think these are when President Trump is saying, oh, we want to get the worst of the worst out, well, that looks like the worst of the worst to me.
Because the question is, what did he get charged with? Did he get charged with domestic terrorism, or did he get charged with an assault?
Pretty sure after this one, it's probably domestic terrorism because it was on a university. Let me check back into it. What his original?
Is he alive? Did they?
I think. I'm not
take him out.
I'm not sure. Let me grab it.
I truly can't believe that they let millions of people in without any kind of scanning, and then you have to pay 100,000 for an H1 visa per year. Like an AI expert can't get in the country, but you can get somebody off the street without even any verification whatsoever.
It's called left-wing logic, Sam. They actually let them in.
What's called progressive endorsed border policy initiated by both parties. Like the Republicans, the reason the Trump wing rose up in part was because the Senate Republicans had failed to enforce immigration law. Right, like that had been a thing, a beat and a drum for all of my lifetime, if not longer.
I have to disagree.
Let's go back.
Do a poo-poo face at the end of this, just for good measure. No, because Trump, you remember, Trump had the asylum seekers wait at the border, on the other side of the border, which was an effective deterrent to people coming, who wanted to come, cross over, and say, oh, I'm being threatened in my country, and getting lost in the system. Correct. Day one, Joe Biden rescinds it, and everyone got the message. Republicans are harder on immigrants.
He tried to use it and got told by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Say that. Say what? Who? I didn't hear.
It was the thing you're referring to is something called Title 42. Title 42 was in place under the Trump administration. Biden tried to keep it in place under his administration. And the appellate court said, no, you can't keep Title 42 going. It's not going to happen.
Why couldn't they keep it going when Trump had it going?
Because it wasn't an emergency any longer. That's what the court judge. Would you like me to look at the case?
So you're saying it was Biden's fault? It was the court's fault?
Yes, there was a judgment made by the court.
And which court was this?
Which we
I think you're trying to pin it on one court ruling.
Which is one court ruling, Alan.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is. That's the court ruling.
So you don't think the Biden administration willfully wanted these people to come in?
You're missing my.
And why is it that when Trump
You're
retook
missing my-
office,
I was making.
because you're using this obscure thing as if it matters
No, Title.
when it doesn't.
Put the remaining.
Day one shut down in 20 January into office, and he shuts it down. I'm sorry, the Democrats are not that helpless.
I didn't say they were helpless.
Then
I
what is your
which you're
point?
not correctly that it came from a U.S. appellate court. If you don't,
It came from Biden and the Biden administration.
no,
And any other narrative to do it that way is a code. I am sorry. You are arguing you are arguing a court issue when it was a political decision, and you know we saw him get his shit together to stop those immigrants from coming in. And you're going to pin it on one appellate court? Guess what? Trump has been sued 60 times at least, and he's still getting this shit done.
you're missing the point. I'm not.
No,
You've
missed
the
point.
All of that. I was making a point.
Marshall.
In fact, a federal court.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm getting heated, and I really should be. Continue.
Kill him. So, I mean, don't have to worry about that anymore. But he was convicted of terrorism for that first charge, and they let him out of prison for complete drug treatment program, which makes no fucking and then
problem. That's a charging problem. That's like getting charging properly, not like the immigration system let him in and he commits crime, and now because he committed this crime, was charged and then put in a U.S. prison, which has, like, depending on the state you're in, they have definite times you can be in jail for. Like Texas, if it's like other states.
a huge problem for me. Why are we? What the fuck? You know what I mean?
If you do it once, you may do it again.
I would be curious of the legal rationale for why they let him if that's public record, which would do, I think would be one of the key things you would find. Title 42, this would be New York, November 18th of 2022. Title 42 ruled illegal by federal court. This week, the U.S. Federal District Court struck down the U.S. government's Title 42 exclusion policy, ruling it unlawful without public health justification. Title 42 has been used since March 2020 to rapidly expel asylum seekers and southern border, grave danger, including LGBTQ refugees. This is called immigration quality, so we're not taking their editorializing activity. Important. What we're taking is the federal court struck down Title 42, which is the ability to do that, which means the Biden administration maintained it for at least 2 years.
Biden immediately acted to suspend the Trump-era Remain in Mexico upon officially known as the calls upon taking office in January 2021. His administration formally halted new later on January 2021, DHS suspended new enrollments in the program. Biden began allowing those with active cases to enter the U.S. during the wind down. Legal challenge. Termination faced lawsuits for to temporary place, and then the Supreme Court eventually allowed it to be ended in June of 22. So basically, my guess is the Supreme Court said this is part of the executive branch. Biden gets to do that, just as they ruled that Trump also gets to set policy too. I'm saying the point I'm making, Trump, as the executive, said this is the policy, remain in Mexico. Biden says, nope, you can come here and seek asylum here. And message under Trump, it's stay away, we're going to make it hard. And under Biden, it's come on down, we're going to make it easier for you to come in. And I think that's a distinction. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Jones, you are incorrect. Are asking the chat because it's yours. Here's, I'm reading this from the Friday. This is a paragraph. So I just wanted to kind of fact check myself on this because you made a categorical statement here, Alan, which it seems to me may not be entirely correct.
I put a link in the chat that showed that I was referencing. And I would also argue that, first of all, the stats that were included also included jihadist violence, did it not? And was that solely in the United States or worldwide? Yeah, because first of all, I would think that might skew the numbers higher, which is a nice, subtle little dig, like all right-wingers are just like jihadists, so we're going to group them together. Anyways, that little observation aside, the point I was saying is that and the other thing is, I wonder if the stats that they're still looking at now include the attacks on, for example, Tesla dealerships, on Tesla owners directly, things like that. Those points aside, I'm trying to look it up now, but it's interesting that they don't. I looked up, I did a Google search and it said, well, it's hard. I said, how many violent incidences were there committed by the left in the 1960s? And it says, well, it's hard to put let me read it exactly. It's hard to put a number on it because much of the violence was directed at property, such as bombings of corporate or government buildings through violent confrontations and targeted actions. 1960s marked the emergence of extremist anti-imperialist, socialist, and anarchist groups that operated outside mainstream, et cetera, et cetera. Those were all left-wing groups. And I know this because that's what they were known for. So, yeah, it's a past. I know what you're saying, Ali, but it's a past that the left divorces itself from. Because, at a certain point in the last 20 years, they've decided that they're the party of morality and benevolence. And so they don't talk about any of that. But
Alan, I just read the statistic you put here in the chat. This is interesting. And I can't help but notice there's a huge number on the right as well.
Guys,
I don't know. This kind of seems like a bias.
Let me just wrap this with Coco. So Alan, the source is called the factcheck.org, and what the title here is what we know about political violence in America. So specifically about in US, the factcheck.org, and they look at all kinds of different fact-checking stuff. One on the violence, political violence in US, and basically one of the conclusions was the one that I read to you, and which is in comparison over decades, the violence by the right wing is much higher than the left wing, with the exception in the last 10 years, the left wing actually, violence has gone up. But again, when you compare the totality of the thing, the violence by right wing is by far exceeds the left wing. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, did I claim that it was less? No. What I'm saying is that there is a change. And if you,
that is correct. But also, go ahead.
No. Well, that's the thing. I don't think I ever said that that it's greater, but we do see a change, and I think that change is going to continue.
But this change is very I'll just say one more sentence and also, hold on one second, Shimi, is from their experience, the left wing violence actually will go down. So whether this is true, who knows? Anyway, Sam,
I don't really understand when you say left wing, right wing. It's not the same. Like the left wing 20 years ago was very different than what it is now. For example, Bill Maher was a major leftist in 2010, but right now the left is calling him right wing for some reason. So the way you think about this thing, you can't be right wing all your entire life. You have to be you have to go with how your party is defined. For example, I can be right wing in 2020s, but I can't be right wing in 2010s. I can't be right wing in 2040s, for example, because at that stage you need something else.
Yeah, maybe, but the thing is, at any given moment, for example, if I would ask you, what is the Republican, platform? What are the values that a Republican or a right wing holds, and what are the value system that, let's say, left wing or liberal? We can probably enumerate what these core value systems are in all fields: the economic, taxation, immigration, abortion, gender issues, sex issues. So there are, some of these values actually, they remain astonishingly consistent over the decades. But I do get your point. Things change according to the current events, and Bill Maher particularly comes across, I don't want to say right wing, but certainly he is not projecting the image that his political image appears to be different now.
There's three aspects to respond to. One, the study in regards to political violence is debunked. I guarantee that the people who cite that study have not actually looked at the individual examples that they point to, because they claim to have looked at, over 4 figures. But if you actually look piece by piece, they consider stickers on a phone pole, according to the right, as violence. They consider graffiti on the right violence, flags, violence. Ironically, if you actually go case by case, they have to broaden the definition so wide to even make it within the same realm of quantity. They have to go to inanimate objects, they have to go to symbolism to just even compare to actual acts where people are getting beat up or killed or huge sums of financial loss. That's number one. Number two, used a very interesting word, value system. Interestingly enough, I would say that that's actually a right-wing framing of politics, because those that tend to be more liberal or secular, they don't look at politics in terms of values. They look them as just views or policies. You know, they use just very just matter-of-fact language. So it just was interesting to use the word values. The value system of a, quote, conservative or right-wing philosophy does have a very high correlation, verging on causation, that people tend to be spiritual, be religious, or at least grew up or were exposed to a very spiritual or religious upbringing or culture or community or family, because that's foundational, that guides them beyond just politics, which is why there's the social issues and things like that. But in regards to just principles, parties themselves are just vehicles. They're vehicles to deliver candidates to hopefully across the finish line by at least 1 inch faster than the opposing vehicle. And in modern politics, attention spans are much shorter, and so platforms have become more simplified, even though the people who most pay attention to politics tend to be more intellectual, which is why there's such a bubble and such a disconnect, and why people are always so shocked by election results, because they don't actually get outside of their echo chamber and talk to normal people who have no clue what we're even referring to. Here's the thing. The modern Republican Party is very, very big tent right now, and we're figuring that out. There are some very steep divisions in regards to foreign policy. However, while that's being sorted out, it's almost unanimously on code in regards to immigration. It's almost unanimously on code in terms of less regulation and less taxation. Basically, government not being as seen and felt in your everyday life. And it seems to be universally on code in terms of just general safety, general law and order, general being protective, being stable, policies towards police, border, etc. And I think that I don't think you could find a Republican that would disagree on those topics. There's a little bit of a dying breed in regards to the lesser spending. I think it used to be that you could say that pretty much all Republicans were in favor of that. I think that it would probably still pull high, but I don't think it is actually in practice is an issue that as many people care about very much anymore. So I just don't even mention it. I would say in regards to trade, it's just changed. It's just fundamentally changed, and I don't see that going back.
Stephen, let me just go back to the first point you made on the violence.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important. I mean, to distinguish and define what's violence.
Correct.
Because you just have these studies and you have to break it down. And I mean, I just know we keep statistics, and my community's been under siege, and it's just skyrocketed from the left.
Yeah, it's actual violence.
Oh,
Is
it's
figured
oh no,
in
it's
as
I can tell
words,
you
it's
it's threat. I could tell you what our threat to life incidents were last year. What we kind of I would say what we statistically keep track of, but how many of the threat to lives we actually reported to federal law enforcement was probably about 450, and then the rest to local law enforcement, and we had about an 80% indictment. I'd have to check what the final conviction rate was from it, but it just surged from we were traditionally it was coming from the right, and it's not like the right went away, but there's no comparison. And these are threats. There are threats to life. The vandalism is significant vandalism. So consider also what happened in the last few years with the protests that vandalized private property and federal property. Pretty significant. So if you want to add, tick all those up, I don't think you can come.
The other thing about it too, and then I'll land just to toss it to Alan. By the way, it's great to see several of you in here.
Good seeing you too, Stephen.
I think that one of the also marked impacts of the fact that the Second Amendment is not as controversial as it was maybe 5-10 years ago. I do think that there was a period of time where, there were maybe a lot more preppers in the 2000s and 2010s, go bags, militias, all that kind of stuff. Not in an offensive capacity, but in a defensive capacity, because there was a genuine fear if the left wants to go, that's not valid. The fear certainly was that to a siege, and that guns were genuinely going to be grabbed, and that was based on all of the international precedent that was happening of gun grabs. But since, to be candid, 2A is not the hot, spicy, controversial issue that it once was, because the left has largely armed itself, and so it would be very hypocritical of them to be as outspoken against 2A as they were, because a lot of the left, whether it be revolutionary or LGBT, has armed itself, and so it's not the controversial topic anymore. And so I think that has contributed to the fact that even the potential for the right wing to be more violent is far less than it is the left, because now that both sides, they're never going to be equally armed, but now instead of it being 95 to 5, it's maybe more like 75-25. And, as that continues to move, the potential for violence is only going to go up from here, from the left, because your typical conservative armed individual is very disciplined. They maintain their weaponry. They do range day. They've been familiar with it their whole lives. A lot of the left are picking up these these weapons for the first time. They're not familiar with the terminology. They're not familiar with the maintenance. They didn't grow up in the same kind of culture where it was just kind of an everyday thing, and there was a lot of respect and dignity. They do see themselves as a lot more radical, and they see it as tools, just like how everything is a tool. Because to understand Marxism is to understand means to an end. And so literally everything, a school, a vote, a gun, is all a tool.
I just wanted to add to what you said and what you were saying, Abby. Yeah, how they classify all this stuff is important, and how they report the numbers is important. I forget which year it was, but the Biden administration came out with their crime statistics, And oops, crime went down, but they left out. I think they left out Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York or something.
Yeah, no, it's a huge reporting problem. I actually have something. I have to look at my notes I saved about that a letter issued from the FBI about the reporting problems. They redid their whole system after that happened.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, here's the crime numbers. Look, it went down, and then 2 months later, they include those cities, and the numbers were very different. And you see a lot of that, like you mentioned it, Stephen, like what they consider to be a mass shooting. I forget, it's like 3 or 4 people becomes a mass shooting. And so that gets lumped in with the guy who walks into a school and starts shooting it up. So, once again, we see they're changing definitions to their advantage, which is, good for them. What can I say? But I was also going to say, Ali, I understand where that report is coming from. And so, again, its main thrust is about the change, but I advise isn't the right word. I encourage you to read the rest of it because that Stephen Lee, he left, because it talks about not only the violent incidences, but it breaks down the success of those attempts, and it talks about what Stephen just talked about, that people on the right are better trained in firearms, and so when if someone on the right commits a violent act, violent, politically motivated attack, they're more successful, whereas people on the left are less organized in these kinds of things, and or they tend to use fire bombs and things like that as the method of committing the violence, and those tend to be less lethal in the long run. But yeah, there's that's the statistics are kind of skewed at this point with the way they reported it. But
Alan, the way you say they, I get this intonation of conspiracy involved.
No. Well,
that's right.
No, it's the FBI. It really, you're talking about the article or the crime statistics?
I'm talking about the fact,
the way I'm presenting.
Yeah, no, but he's right. It's he means they being the researchers that put the article together.
Yes, and anyway, so if you don't believe the factcheck.org, which looks at there's so many different issues and checking the facts, and then you may say, they're biased, I'm not sure. But I was really surprised at the comment that Steve made before he left. And he categorically probably maybe did not want to think about that correlation does not imply causation. Is it possible to say that nowadays the left-wing individual, they have changed their perspective on the Second Amendment, and now they are having more guns, buying guns, and because of that, just because they've been with the guns, not for too long, then they are less competent, less responsible, and less trained in handling guns. I really fail to see the analogy here. It could be a perfect example that somebody in some of the states, their entire family is out, but they are in the army. They hunt, they own guns, they've had guns for generations. So making that kind of reach to associate the left wing, by the way, my comments are value free. I'm not.
Yeah, and you know what, Ali, you make a good. Yeah. Oh, were you done?
No, let me say landing. Yes.
Okay.
And I think you also said the same thing. There's the perception here that the left wing, that again, less competent, less trained, responsible for handling guns. It just doesn't understand this. And I can give examples of democratic or liberal, right-wing, left-wing family in some states for generations that they handle guns. I mean, that's the way of life. It's not a political way of being. It's a way of life, having guns. And so anyway, I was surprised at that comment. And when people make comments like that, categorically like that, it kind of takes away a little bit about their credibility, about other statements.
Yeah, but Ali, what you're saying is true, but those aren't the people who are committing the attacks. Generally, and if you read in that report, there's one incident that they point out in particular that it was someone on the left. They had a gun. They had never trained with it. They went to it was a mayoral candidate or something, shot at this guy at point blank range, emptied his magazine, and he missed, except for one bullet that grazed the guy's sweater at point blank range. So I'm not in that. What you're saying
Did
is
he hit
true,
other people in
but
crossfire?
Say that again?
Was other people hit in crossfire?
I don't think so. I don't know. It didn't mention it. But I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think what you're talking about is that yes, there are people on the left who have guns, and it is part of the culture of where they live, absolutely. But I think those aren't the people who are being moved to this kind of violence. That may be left, but they're not progressive, or we might categorize them as being what's the term they use nowadays? They're Democrats, but Democrats from 30 years ago. So. But yeah, I really, if the article touched, everything you're talking about, it brings up, and it says, well, 20 out of these 31 incidences involved or attempted fire bombings, and in this, I mean, it really breaks it down.
Yeah, I would agree with that. See, without too much. I grew up in a house that was on the right. My parents voted for Trump back in 2016, 2020, and they did the same thing this last election, right? So, yeah, definitely a Republican house. But, yeah, we all grew up hunting, and as soon as, in my state, it's as soon as you're 12 years old, you can go get your license as long as you're with your parent and you've done all training, to go hunting, so on and so forth. So this is something that I learned about at a very young age, and the responsibility, and hey, these harm people, you got to be safe. I think more so that's like where that criticism came from. Even though I grew up and now my ideologies are a little bit different than my parents. I'm not a Trump voter, but I think yeah, I think you guys do have a point. I can see definitely what they're talking about, just being a part of like American culture and being involved in politics. A lot of people who, if you didn't grow up around guns, you're not going to understand the ins and outs of, okay, we need to be really safe with this. We need to make sure we're, dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And this is important, right? And if you can't fucking handle it, don't buy one, right? So, I don't think a lot of people have had this understanding, and they're just going out and purchasing firearms. And that's where we're seeing this irresponsibility.
Thank you for that, Coco. I don't have a first-hand experience with these things. I just can tell you, I'll just give you my views on it. But if you look at the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of free states and the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I've memorized that for the hell of it. If you look at it, the initial intention of the founding fathers for writing the Second Amendment, it was keeping the states safe from the tyranny of the federal government, a well-regulated militia. If you look at the Federalist Paper, which was written by J. Madison and another one I forgot. So the three people, the founding fathers, actually promoting a year before the Constitution became ratified to make a case why the states ought to be supporting this the Constitution and ratifying it. And they wrote the articles, 64 articles, 84, I'm sorry, 84 articles, I think, anonymously, and they're published. They were the bestsellers in terms of arguing every aspect of the Constitution and making a case for it. And of course, pointing out some of the shortcomings of it. But the idea was to, Hamilton, Jay, and anyway, it's getting too late in here. So, if you look at these papers, and they're very difficult, not difficult to read, there are too many of them. There's not a single mention about why the Second Amendment in there for the private citizen to defend their homes or to go out there and shoot anyone. It was just predominantly the second clause. It was constructed because a well-regulated militia would not have been possible without having the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Would not have been possible. So in a sense, the founding fathers, they had a different idea in mind by saying that people ought to have guns under a militia kind of a structure than the way we see it and interpret, right now. But anyway, thank you, Coco and Alan left already. Very good to see you, everyone. Good night.
Oh, no, darling. Ocean Lake, there's people in the audience that want to come up. Well, I texted the other mods. I don't know if they're coming back or not, or if they're even online anymore. They might have went to sleep. Let's see. They're still online. Nope, can't even fucking find their name on here. Whatever. Bye.
This spring, a litter of African painted dog pups making their public debut. 10 puppies, 5 males, 5 females, already showing off unique markings. Energetic. homophobics that were so focused on the straights of homos and not the gays of homos?
Yes, I agree. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Why do you think they're willing to leave the gays of homos behind?
I think it's just history. Historically, like, you know, gays have always been very discriminated against, which is wrong, and so many.
Isn't it
My father has sold me because we don't have bread, rice, and flour. He has sold me to an old man. He's bought Parwana for 200,000 Afghanis, just over $2,000 US. Covered up, Parwana whimpers as her mother holds her. This is your bride. Please take care of her, says Parwana's father. Of course I will take care of her, replies the man.
I have much more than 12, 13 billion, you know, and I said, okay, fine, all these numbers are just written numbers, you know, and one day I went to a bank, you know, at that time there were no restrictions of this, and I wrote a check and cash $10 million, and I took it home for yourself, for myself, yes. You cashed $10 million in the bank? Yes, took it and put it in the boot of my vehicle, and I went home. And I open it and I look at 10 million and say that, okay, fine. Now I believe I have money.
The attorney you hire matters.
That boy.
100,000 streams.
Injury law made personal.
Are you looking for...
I didn't want to sell X. At that time, Twitter said at 54. I believe that the price could be higher. So we called Musk. I called Musk and I had a call with him. I was in the desert. I remember that very well. So I called Mr. Musk. I told him, Mr. Musk,
Around here actually filming as we fight to preserve the wages of tip workers. The history of tomorrow's date is not lost on me. As we fight.
احساس میکنم که خواستیم یه جور متفاوت بین مرد. It is a no-go on on a Michael Jordan museum in Highland Park. The new owner wanted to turn the estate into an attraction that he said would bring thousands of people to town. He said it would be good for the local economy. People who live nearby were mostly against it because of the concerns about traffic noise. The council voted 7-0 against his zoning proposal. It is a no.
Our attorney is not the only person working on your case. I'm Alana Malman, and I'm انظروا الشعب الفلسطيني والاسرائيلي يريدون السلام ويريدون يعيش بدوله واحده. ننتهي من هالقطاع اللي يخرب ويصمم. I woke up to the guy in the beard is my dad who's no longer alive.
Your dad is your dad?
He's talking. Please get out of here. So here's the story. I'll give you this.
Yeah.
So,
Cry,
the guy in the beard.
baby.
هذا قلت لي شو قصتها؟ أنا بتجي أنت 2010 شوي تعثرت
What do you do? What's your job?
I'm a fixed income salesman.
What do you feel about Jamaica?
It's good. There's a lot of opportunity there.
What do you think has the power in society?
I think the working class does. A lot that they can do.
أكيد ما لم تتعرض سوريا إلى استهدافات مباشرة من أي جهة فهي ستبقى خارج هذا الصراع. يكفي سوريا 14 سنة من الحرب دفعنا خلالها فاتورة كبيرة جدا. فنحن You met Mr. Wells before? Mr. Wells, you make Whitby look skimpy.
Well, you see, I'm fat and you're ugly, but I can tell you.
Have you ever been in an aeroplane?
Did I?
Would you like to?
I should be 9 now, but I believe when they first came in, I never upset it. وخيل تعلم والفوارس أنني
Hello, princess.
What up?
How you doing? Oh, this is, I didn't recognize you with the do-rag.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You got the same model from last night. Selena, what's going on?
No, it's a new one. We finished that one. Okay.
Whoa, Selena, why are you running away? Oh.
You see that? You see that giant crane over my shoulder? That's the construction of President.
Hello?
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 I have returned.
Yes.
I'm ready to be your long-term, distance, low commitment, casual girlfriend if you'll still have me.
You just hold on for a second.
Oh.
Sublime! I don't know. I have to think about that.
Oh boy. Probably a better combo. I'll let them study Torah.
Isaiah's checking people in, doing their work. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about, how they're just standing around. They're actually bringing people up and everything.
You never, ever rate a man until Memorial.
The University of Pennsylvania has to turn over a list of. I started working with Wildfire almost 6 months ago, and now I've got people.
Hey, leave her alone. See, I told you that would happen, Cleo.
A woman. Sharia, a woman. What is a woman, anyways?
That don't do nothing. That only run their mouth. That don't do nothing. That don't.
Serenity Med Spa is expanding. We are opening our second location, and it's coming to Willis. Bringing
He's Kramer just JT as a clown.
Is amazing. Honestly, there's no. I feel like it was a neutral plane. Like we're not at odds. I don't need to meet aggressive Camille because that's not who she is as a whole. This is what I was saying earlier on in this conversation, like hours ago. Like they're bad moments. They're not who you are as a whole. I feel like I met Camille. However, in that energy of disrespecting her, I can foresee or just understand, have a discernment because I've been on this app, and two, I'm real. Like everybody has a trigger. You push up, you poke a bear enough, they'll turn up on you and give you what you fucking looking for. A lot of people counting me out. Hey,
Oh yeah, Leo.
you feel me? Like, and then you have to give them what they're actually looking for. But
Just don't do it.
But me, but all in all,
Don't fuck with a Leo. That's a fact.
hold on. But all in all, I'm not thinking this is solely you. This is like you can't. I can't book your business. I can't love you as a friend. You're gonna treat me like this. I don't have to trigger you. I ain't never had to disrespect. Why would I? I'm minding my business. Why would I have to do that? But if
She's
you
involved
aggressive
in
shit,
you.
my friend don't play. Like she's gonna pop off. You keep poking the bear. I'm just letting you know right now. As I tuck my hair behind my ears, I'm letting you know right now she don't play. Like I don't. That's how like
She's an evolved Leo. Kind of like I got a grandmother who's a Leo, right? And she's so chill. So the grandmother that my granny, who I do everything with, she's a Cancer. And you would think the two of them would be opposite. But no, the Cancer, she's the one that's vibrant. She doesn't really do a lot more than just the way she presents herself. Like she is gorgeous and she shows it, you know? Like, it gives off a lot of Leo energy, Virgo, Libra, you know, it gives off that time of life where everybody just wants to be beautiful every time they step out. But my grandmother, not that she's not the same, she don't want to look good or nothing like that, but she'll be 80. And she's so chill. You wouldn't think she's a Leo until you start talking to her, and there's certain things she says like, girl, you a Leo. But you know, she's so chill. And I'm like, that's that evolved. That's that I've lived a life. That's that I've had the experience. I've felt the pain. I've felt the joy. I've done this. And I feel like Camille has that. She's lived in those stages of her life, you know? And so Camille, I feel like Camille more of an evolved Leo. So we don't really get we don't see it. Not that she doesn't have it, but she doesn't have to show it to everybody. You know?
But you know why, D? Because like you resonate at a vibration where you don't have to trigger her because one, we're never intimidated by none of us. We respect and love and pour into each other like equally. Like reciprocity is beautiful. Like you show up for me, I'm gonna show up for you. You meet me there, I'm there. Right? Love is love. And the understanding of indifference of people who can't show up within weakness, we create space for that.
That's not those situations. It's when you want to pick fights and you want to do things to spark energy from people, and then you assume because they're so zen, because they're so in the pocket, like you don't even know what it took for me to get right. You don't know what it took for me to get this peaceful, and honestly, 2025 actually allowed me to show my ass, and I showed everybody who wasn't privy to how I speak when I'm tested, because I felt like season 1, I feel like everybody was testing everybody just to fill out where everybody was at, right? So I was like, I guess having conversations, not really into like situations where people hated me, but just like, oh, you talk spicy? Yeah, I talk spicy too. But then you learn how to pick and choose your battles and have discernment, and you just like digress with that. And that's all like learning and growth and stuff like that. And now I'm in my mid-30s, and it's these days I don't fucking care. Unless I truly fucking care, then you'll see. And that's with my relationships. It's with family and people I actually truly call friends. You'll see me turn into something that you've never seen before. Because it's like I'm listen, ain't nobody fighting with me back against the wall. We throwing close, right? And if we were in person, I don't actually do a lot of talking. And I'm just let the mic breathe on that. Because it's not to that point, like, we've tried talking, right?
Well, what I appreciate about Leo's women, at least, a lot of times they have like high self-esteem, or at least, they portray that. So it's like they're a little less likely to be like envious and competitive. Like deep down, they just feel like they the shit anyway. So there's not that kind of like catty jealousy that I tend to experience with some other type of women.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you this about me. I am not jealous or whatever. I comment people or whatever too. I feel like people do be in competition. But yeah, I try and uplift people.
1000%. Literally, my business is about that. And so is yours. It's like I have so much energy and glow and peace within myself. I would love to share it with you. Please be patient and just like breathe within yourself so you can receive what I can express to you, right? Have you ever met somebody who can't resonate with that and it is kind of upset with your peace and your
all the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're like in contempt of it. Like anything. Yeah. It just seems very like anything that you say, they're like in contempt of. Like it's like no.
Or like your peace angers them. And then it's just if they try to rattle you and can't, oh my gosh, they're fuming at that point.
Your love, your abundance, your opportunities, your excitement about the way that you speak about your life. And say, for instance, shit is chaotic in your life, right? But the way that you view your life, because I'm a person that only speaks about gratitude. When I'm coming off I'm only sometimes I'll talk about like dark things, but I always have like a positive side to balance it out. This is how I'm regulating this circumstance right now. Even that kind of angers people, and it's just like, fuck, I'm trying too. I don't need you to be aggressive with me. I'm literally fighting for my life, and you're just like upset. And sometimes you value and care for the people who possibly see you as not necessarily a threat, because everybody has their own battle, but like in their head,
intimidating.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not doing this to trigger you. I'm doing this to reassure my next step, my next goal, or my self-love. This love that you may be intimidated by it on the outside is not to trigger you. It's literally to convince myself, like, yeah, you could still do that next thing. Because what's on the opposite side of fear? A lot of people are trying to leap over those bounds, you know? And it's a daily task. It's not like one goal, and once you do it, it's done. No, you may fail. So what you're going to do now, you're going to try again. Every day, every day, every day. Like self-talk about who you are as a person, how you value yourself, and not caring how other people view you. Because even if you do feel good and you're like in that mode of today is a good day, and they're not having a good day, I'm not going to be affected by that. Hopefully it influences them. You know, like that's truly my goal.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I really relate to a lot of what you guys were saying. I remember this job that I had where I was just happy to be there. I was excited. I was younger, and I think just my positive demeanor really got on people's nerves, and they just were, really miserable. And if you weren't miserable as well, it was a problem. So having to I still come across those types of people. And I just try to distance myself. Like, no one has perfect lives. I, accept the downs and the ups. But I think people expect you to always, be pessimistic. And yeah, as a woman of color, Black woman who has grown up in the burbs, so I sound like a white girl, having to constantly also defend myself to my own people gets really exhausting at times. So I definitely get where you guys are coming from. Some people are just not happy with themselves, and instead of uplifting, they gotta take a dig to feel better.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's just the saddest. That's just so low to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jeez.
It really is.
Especially because you may have, Mel, especially because you may have so many things going on in your life. I don't think about trying to shit on anybody. I'm just trying to do my thing. I'm just trying to follow my alignment and do what I am destined to do. It literally is just me and me. Even family. You can talk about friends, you can talk about lovers, you can talk about coworkers or anything that's outside of yourself. Family. Sometimes you just need to lock in and realize who you are as a person, and not take it as offense. Have you influenced anybody with your selfish acts of care? I have.
Me?
I'm asking the room.
Have we what?
Influence any of your surrounding people, family, friends, coworkers with your selfish acts of care?
Oh yeah, overgiving. Yeah. Thinking I'll get something in return or something like that. Yeah.
Teaching people how to love you. Teaching people how to respect you, and controlling your time and energy within circumstances, and learning your boundaries. A lot of leeway you can utilize it within the companies people work for, but they don't know the terms, and so they're just oblivious and ignorant, and they just oblige to overworking themselves. But like, yeah, utilize these opportunities for yourself within the government, like all that's everything, and setting boundaries with friends, family, lovers, like it's
yeah, I'm a big boundary setter. That's so important. Really is.
Boundary setter of the family. Okay, my whole family learned how to set boundaries messing with me because yeah.
What does that mean?
Differently. I mean, because it's hard to explain, but like,
start from the top.
I don't know if I should say this, telling me, but anywho, no, like, like my mom, and she grew up differently from the way that I grew up. Her family, they were surrounded by a lot of family, and sharing spaces and just very communal and stuff like that. And I was like an only child up until like the age of 11. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just always had a different kind of like independent sort of streak in me. And then, as a child, I was very much a pleaser. Like, I wanted to, be good and get good grades and be rewarded for it and, keep things calm at home so I didn't get in trouble type shit. But like, when I started getting more into myself, it started rubbing up against like the norms that were set in the family. And then I had to come to, certain, I had to lay certain boundaries down. Like even like with the religion, like, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And as I got older, even though I never got baptized anyway, but as I got older, I just didn't vibe with it in that way. You get what I'm saying? And I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine with where I was at and where I'm at now spiritually. And, but I understand, okay, my mom, she takes this very seriously. And, it's one thing to have little debates and differences of opinion, but it would turn into like all out, like, not like physical violence, but like verbal war.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
I relate with you, Milo, by the way. Go ahead.
No, but seriously, it's like, so, okay, at some point I have to be like, okay, I cannot have these conversations with you because all it does is frustrate us both, So I'm going to decline, once the conversations start getting to a certain place, like, okay, I'm exiting this, respectfully, not in no type of crazy way, but like, no, and like that was like hard, I think for her to kind of grasp. And with my mom being the matriarch, her way kind of sets the tone, so it kind of had to like, spread that energy around the whole family, basically, like, and get everybody used to, it's okay to set a boundary. It's okay. It's not unloving or anything like that. I always do it with love, and ultimately, it's for everybody's peace of mind. But yeah, I had to be like kind of the leader in that sense of like, and then even outside of the house, you know what I mean? Like, there are things that, parents are from a different generation and just have a different way of doing things. And I'm like, oh no, this is not right. We're getting it fixed right now. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not going to bullshit us about this price. Nope, I'm going to look it up. And no, you know what I mean? So I was just always the one that kind of took that charge. Like, no, we will be treated fairly. We will set our boundaries, and we will respect those boundaries. And if a person cannot do that, then they just can't be around you, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, I'm really quick to cut people off. I kind of got an early start going back to like high school with my my parents. Very toxic situation, but sometimes you have to, no matter how close you are to them, you got to take care of yourself. You are the most important person, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will.
And the interesting thing is, your elders had their space to grow solely on their own. Because my grandmother's one passed, but they both had their parents pass early on, and so they had to do a lot of their discovering solely on their own. So when you set a boundary as a granddaughter, right? I feel like it's a little pushback because they want the authority of respect, but it's just like, hey, I'm an adult now. I have things. I love you. There's no disrespect here, but like communicating within the nature of like, I'm an adult now. That conversation is very, very, very profound, and I think that's why she views me differently. The way that I speak within my sureness of who I am as a person. As you know, because my sister and my aunts are not going to be the matriarchs. My mother is possibly going to be the next. However, worst case scenario, who's going to be after that? Who's going to have enough discernment to lead the family and be the heart and the heartbeat and the backbone of the family? You know, and that's solely me. And it's a lot of pressure. But I feel like I'm taking these days when I'm setting boundaries of like, I'm just taking a day to just be, you know, no rhyme or reason, no excuses. I just, hey, I'm following up on yesterday. I couldn't answer, you know, I couldn't answer yesterday. I was busy, you know. I'm not going to be at people's beck and call because I know when I'm supposed to be at everybody's beck and call, the phone's never going to stop ringing. You know, and I already want to take advantage of like my opportunities these days to enjoy my life before shit gets serious, because we all have parents, but who handles all of the paperwork, right? I'm the one that's going to have to handle the paperwork. Let me enjoy my life before I have to get super serious about shit, because I feel like, and I don't want to say this all out, but I've kind of already known within the nature of the dynamic, I possibly will have to bury everyone. Like, she's the strength. She is the strength. And you know, where's the fun? Where's the flow? Where's the joy? Where's that? So don't be mad at me, because I'm really trying to take my time, because I know shit's gonna fucking get serious, and I want to be prepared, and I don't want to feel exhausted at that point where you guys are taking every last bit of me, where I can't pour back into myself through my experiences of love and life and joy, you know? Have you guys ever thought about that?
Yeah, no.
Who's gonna be the last to bury who?
Yeah. I'm the youngest of 8 in my family, and like I was listening to your story, Mello, and I was like, that's definitely the situation of my family too. Like, we haven't figured out how to be like, you know, at odds with each other, you know, because there's always been this kind of, excuse me, like pressure to have peace and like keep the spirit in the home kind of thing. And so similarly, I had like that kind of that role that you had. And Alexis, your story, was it your grandma or your mom whose mom died at a young age, and then took on that kind of like matriarchal role, like kind of, you know, stepped into the plate. Like, that is my mom right there, and she is it just like everything you said. It was just kind of like, I was like, yep, it's so crazy how these like kind of situations and kind of those I don't know, those like I don't know if, because now that we have like 8 children, there is kind of this, I want to say, diffusion of responsibility to take on that role. So I don't know, your guys' accounts, I just was listening and I just was like, whoa. That's kind of like a little bit of each, but
I feel that. And I think you guys are onto something because my mom also lost her mom at a young age. And I think that has a big effect on it too. Like, I was 2 or 3 when my grandmother passed. So she was a young, not like teenage mom, but a young mom without her mother, you know what I mean? Just like thrown into that world and figuring it out, you know what I mean? But for me, it was different, you know what I'm saying? So I think, there's a lot to it, but there's just like that dynamic of just kind of already inherently, I don't know, just having to depend on myself, knowing that from a young age, you know what I mean? Having to figure a lot of things out. First of all, as the oldest, you always the one that's got to figure shit out because your parents are still learning. But then also, with her not having her mom for, up in her adult age, it just, I don't know. I think it was hard for her to accept that I had become an adult, you know what I mean? And how to engage with me as an adult woman to another adult woman. Until now things are kind of better, but
man, oh man, Alexis, you were talking about that too. The conversation I just had that conversation recently with my mom, and it was stemming because I went home and I was like, hey, can I just borrow the car? I was visiting. I live in Minnesota, they live in California, so I was like, can I borrow your car? And it was just something that's been it had been recurring, oh, let me do something for you. Be careful out there. She was scared that because it was raining, in Southern California, it's really dangerous. And I was like, man, you don't even want to know it. I was just driving in last week here, but I can't even see the lines on the lane on the interstate. Anyways, but all of that to say, it was that was the kind of point where I was like, man, I need to have this conversation with her and be like, you never worry about me when I'm not in your view, when you see me, but all of a sudden here I am. So I had to kind of point that out. I'm like, you don't need to be, I will always be your baby, right? But also, you were me at once. There has to be some sort of reciprocity or some sort of understanding on your end to make this work. Because I think I can kind of see you, I've seen you as an adult and I relate with you as an adult. And, I don't know, there is kind of sometimes you gotta nudge parents.
Half the hard talks. I have a very religious grandmother, and we were talking about talking left of the conversation with people who are within possibly the Christianity or just religion, period. But I put it in my mind, and I sounded like I was one of those kids that possibly would have got popped or just sit in the corner because you're challenging the book. But it literally says this, and I'm trying to read it, but you're not saying what it's saying. You're trying to tell me what it's saying, but I'm reading what it's saying, and it's saying something different. And so when you challenge certain things, I've been having conversations. I said all that to say I'm having conversations with my grandmother where she's thinking clear about how she resonates with certain things that she's known all her life, right? And I still believe that she's religious, but the way that we communicate, she actually creates a lot of space. And I'm saying this, that we had this conversation earlier, because a lot of people were in that conversation about how grandmothers are very strict, where like, you can't say shit to them. You can't go left on nothing. But my grandmother is, if you ask it in the right tone and within the right way, it'll allow her to think and then possibly reflect. Maybe she'll have an answer in real time, but she'll be able to reflect on how she can regulate these things and apply it to her life. She just literally continues to remind me of me, because it's like, not saying that I was rigid and strict within my religion, but just like, I am moldable. Communicate to me well, where I can hear you clear, where I can see things with clarity, you know? And if it sounds like God speaking to expand my rigid perspective, then it is what it is. I'm just going to take it as my granddaughter is expressing certain things and certain conversations about a book that I've known, and she's having other things to say about it. And I should listen, you know, because maybe this is God speaking through her. So don't give up on family. Don't give up on family, regardless of the conversation. I'm talking about the Bible, but if it's talking about you being who you are or whatever it may be, don't stop talking to your family, and don't not be who you are, because they need to get to know you. You were who you were when you were a baby. They tried to shape you and culture you as much as they could with all the abilities of respect and manners and stuff like that. But I feel like it's a duty for parents to get to know their children as they grow within themselves. And so, yeah, continue to talk and have the hard conversations. Don't say it aggressively. Don't leave in a fight. If they get upset, I'm pretty sure they'll sit back and listen to the conversation, because you matter to them. It's going to still sit in their energy, and they're going to come back to you and ask you if you want something to eat, and just try to make things better, because they heard you. They just didn't know how to respond. You know, you don't need to challenge people and make them, you need to apologize. I don't need no apologize. Can we hug?
Yes.
Can we eat together? You know, like, that's all it is.
Well, I just want to report back that was the response after that talk, because she did, she had to take a little, like, you know, she felt really sad, like, because her mom's like, oh, how can I ever be, you know, seen that way?
She heard you.
Yeah, she had to take a second to go, like.
My thing is, a lot of people want immediate satisfaction. Devin, a lot of people want immediate satisfaction. Stop. With old people, you kind of just need to drop the gems and let them sit, because they respect you. They love you. And they hear you. They just need to sit with the information that you gave them, because they don't know how to process it. It's not going to be immediate, like, oh, I actually thought of that. It's not Clubhouse. It's not.
They haven't updated the software on you yet. You know, they don't know how to do it. They couldn't find the update button.
You know, that's a fact. Hey.
Gotta help them push that button.
I hate when I'm talking on this app. Every time I'm that fucking meme. It's like, I said too much.
Well, no, actually,
what is it? Where they're like shy?
No, listen, I legit appreciate what you just said, because even I sometimes need that reminder with, like, my own family member. I'm in, like, a particular situation where in your example, like, I did discuss something with them, and, you know, just remembering that not everyone's going to process it the same way sometimes really does make a huge difference. So I appreciate what you said.
Yeah, and really, well, all of you're saying, and I think Devin and what did you say that really struck? Oh, when you were saying like, I guess I think you said it was when your mom kind of realized that she had hurt you in some way, or like realized like
Yeah, she's like, I think there's a level or some sort of denial that goes on because for me to say that to her, she's like, I could never do that. Like, I'm just it's like I'm your mom. Like, I care about you. Like that's always the ultimate justification. Like, well, I'm my mother.
I feel like, first of all, people have different memories of the same event. And, I think when they have to kind of face that, okay, you now as an adult, experience something differently from the way they thought they were, sort of arranging it or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, most likely, hopefully, there wasn't any ill intention on their part, but it was just people aren't perfect, and sometimes things just don't, add up right. But then you bring that to them as an adult, I think sometimes it's very hard for them to acknowledge, to kind of even like process that at first. Like, it's a real shock to the system. And that's their journey. That's their part to kind of learn how to, be a parent to an adult and face the things that may have been problematic or, an issue for them growing up without taking on too much burden and guilt behind it. Because I don't like it. Like, I don't want my mom to be feeling like, oh, like so down on herself. Like, you're not perfect. You don't have to be. You never had to be, It's just now that I'm an adult, I'm expressing, where I'm at. And that now I have these boundaries and, that's cool, but I'm not holding things against you like, oh, because I know at the end of the day I was loved, still am. So, but that can be hard for them, I think, to process, to accept, because that's like almost a role reversal. Like, wait, what? You don't tell me I'm wrong. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
You have to slowly roll that in.
Quick, they will regret not negotiating peace.
Luckily, my family respects my voice, but it was hard work because I wouldn't say I was a rebellious child. However, they knew my conversation was gonna I don't know. No. I don't even think my conversation would trigger them because I used to be a yes woman for a very long time because I was raised by these women. Okay, and then it took a pivot within my own discernment. And I slowly said, hey, Mom, I get it. You love this guy. You want me to give him another chance. But, like, he's not a good person to me. Or just, like, you slowly unfold. This is not what I want to do with my career. Or you call my business a little business when really it's the big business. And it also covers other people's portion of the pot when people need it. So, you know what I'm talking about? Like, the conversation you have to implement, you kind of have to, like, pump your chest out. Like, this is working for me because it is opposite for you. You wanted me to do this, but I went left and I took a chance on myself. I literally took a chance on myself, and this is working for me. And when I am assertive and when I do put my foot down, I realize that this person didn't value me in love. I don't need to be with this person. When I took a chance on my career, I didn't need to just be a yes man. I was actually a boss, like, and needed to implement all the things that I learned within my life to create this business that is lucrative. Like, I am supportive and for my family because I am in the know. I need you to respect my voice. At those points, people kind of talk to you in a different conversation, not like what do you need, opposed to, hey, how are you? You know, those conversations are different. A lot of my family are like, hey, can I borrow? Hey, can I get? And then I'm the one that they call, or if I'm calling my mom, I'm like, hi, how are you today? It's I don't know.
.com. This is Mayoral candidate John Kitover. Hope you enjoyed today's live streaming sessions.